The question we were asking before that break was, where is the 2018 budget? If you follow the premise we laid earlier, the Senate President is saying the problem with the passage of this budget is the fact that some MDAs are not just showing up for the defense. Well, he's made a decision that they should go ahead with the passage without them. And the executive is saying they are not really the problem. But what exactly is the problem, especially when the nation says we want to normalize the budget cycle? Let my partner tonight weigh in on this one. Sheon Igbinde is the co-founder of Budget, the specialist in the issues of data and budget issues, and also Mr. G.T. Ogunye, a lawyer and a friend of the house. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time on the program. Let me begin with you, Mr. Onigbinde. Is everything okay?
Not everything is not okay. I guess what's happening is that politics is seeping into governance. We're gradually seeing that. Recently, you can understand that there's been love has been lost between the executive and the National Assembly, and I guess that's also even coming close to the budget process. And it should not happen because we have a short window this year. Elections are due early next year. Politicking will start from second quarter of the year. And by third quarter, it's like the Falcon will not hear the Falconer anymore. So we have a short window. And I guess that's why the budget was relatively presented early. November 11 is not early enough. Was that early? It was not early enough.
I remember Okonjo-Iweala presented the budget twice in October.
Yeah, twice in October. But that was
during Jonathan period. President Muhammadu Buhari has presented the budget once in October.
Yeah, it could have been.
The last time in November.
Yeah, it could have been earlier than that, given the National Assembly period, because there's going to be a holiday break, there was going to be Christmas break, there would never have been enough time. And now the Senate President is throwing the baton back to the executive to say, some powers let out. Because don't forget that you can't, the budget presented by the President only includes MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. Parcels like the MPA, the CBN, NCC, and NPC are not always included in the regular budget document. They also submit their own estimate singly. They submit to the respective committees that oversee them. I guess most of them have not submitted. Before, there's always an opportunity for them to come middle of the year to submit. But I guess now the Senate says they want everything together because we can understand how busy this year would be.
Your company always had your nose, you always have your nose on these kind of issues. What are you hearing? What exactly is the problem? Which of the MDAs have you heard that is erring in this matter?
I guess it's not, the Senate has not come publicly to say this is the MDAs that are erring in this matter. And we don't have that understanding, we don't have that knowledge. But clearly it's that there's a time the Senate on the floor of the House said there are MDAs that have the total budget up to 12 trillion naira. Like, if you had subsidiaries of NNPC and CBN and NCC and MPA, and they are huge, but most of them, we don't even see their budgets. Most of these budgets are just sent to the executive, to the legislature, or through the executive, and they look at this budget and pass it and they give it back to them. And I guess most of the time, it comes later in the year, because the budgets get maybe 3 or maybe even sometimes 3, the last quarter of the year. But now the Senate says they want the budget early enough because we understand. So we have not been clear. And I guess it's time for the Senate to name and shame who are the parastatals, which are the parastatals that have not made their budgets public. It has to be clear to everybody.
Mr. Ogunye, where is the truth and where is the force? Where does the force lie right now? When the National Assembly, or they both agree that there is a sense in normalizing the budget cycle, and a lot of people will see that there is a sense in it because we're already losing it. At some point, we have budget. In 2016, the budget started running in March. In 2017, it started running in June. At some point, you will just discover that budget cycle will start in October. Where do you see that the problem might be with all of this that we're seeing on the ground right now?
On all sides. On all sides, or on both sides now, the executive and the legislature. And on the side of their political party, which was the platform that represented to Nigerians that they wanted to do something differently. You know, change is not something you just mouth. If it is an intention, it should permeate all aspects of governance, including how you budget and how early you present it and how early it is passed. It's been an ideal that Nigeria says that it wants to normalize its budget cycle from January to December. And this remains elusive even up to now. With the best of speed, what we are seeing now is that this budget may not be passed until May, even with the best of speed. And so for me, what this shows is indolence in government. And
indolence with the best of intentions?
I speak carefully. Look, if the executive wants the legislature to be blamed, is the executive diligent even in conducting its own affairs? Is it diligent in forming a cabinet? Was it diligent in even sending names of nominees to the National Assembly? And I give you a clear example. President Muhammadu Buhari nominated Ibrahim Magu as the acting chairman of the FCC, and it was to forward his nomination to the Senate. It took his government, because I'm not personalizing it, almost 11 months to forward that name before the shenanigans in the Senate occurred. And instructively, that nomination was eventually forwarded to the Senate by the Vice President when he was the acting president. The president was away. So if it took the executive that long, how could the executive then blame, in good conscience, I'm just using that as an illustration, blame the Senate for all the pussyfooting and all the chicanery that we saw, that attended that subject. So if you relate this to this budget issue that we're discussing, it seems to me that the government, the federal government of Nigeria, both the executive, they always feel that, oh, yes, we have this ideal, but what was it? Section 82 of the Constitution allows us to be spending, benchmarking it on the last year budget for 6 months or until the budget is presented. That's the language of the Constitution. So we have all the time in the world. Even if they didn't even pass it, we'll be spending. The Constitution allows us to be spending anyway. So why are we going to worry ourselves too much about whether we pass the budget? And then with that comes uncertainty, lack of predictability in conducting government affairs. Those who look up to the budget to do their things and all, to do their planning and all that, wouldn't be able to do that. Now you're talking about the rollover. What does that suggest to you? That you had a budget in the previous year. That budget was not even implemented 40% or 50% and all that. And now you're talking about rolling it over. So what I call for is diligence in government. Those who are in government, we can understand. Democracy can be lethargic. Democratic processes can be slow. But as human beings who deliberately seek political offices without being compelled to seek those offices, there is an incumbent duty to work for the people with diligence. I don't see that diligence in government.
I mean,
I don't see it.